By now you would have watched the video on tiny grid, so you understand why it is important. Just to recap, the tiny demon prevents us from doing the green zone toss, right? So we have to defeat it, and the way to defeat it is to build this subconscious superpower we call tiny grid. In fact, in our app you can set one of those super avatars, whichever one you like. Now, as I said before in my tiny grid session, we procrastinate all low urgency, high important tasks such as transformation, learning, exercise and fitness as well. So we are going to use exercise and fitness as our tiny grid builder for green zone tasks. Let's see how to do that. So for that we are going to learn Professor B.J. Fogg's tiny habits method. Now it can be easily shown that we are creatures of habits. So I will give you an example of a habit. Whenever we are hungry, we eat. Hungry being the trigger and the habit being eating. So all habits can be thought of as having a trigger before it and then the habit after it. Professor B.J. Fogg's great insight came from the idea that we could use an existing habit as a trigger, right? So that's what his central idea is. Now if you remember my tiny grid video, I used brushing teeth as my existing habit, to which I connected my 2 push-ups when I started. So that is what we are going to learn here how to do. Now there are 2 more insights from Professor B.J. Fogg. One is that the existing habit has got to be a reliable trigger. Now brushing teeth for most of us is reliable because we do that wherever we are, even when we are traveling. The reason I did push-ups on the international flight is because I brushed my teeth there also. Let me give you an example. Let's say I decide to put my daughter on the school bus and then go to the gym. Now the daughter on the school bus is not a reliable trigger because on weekends the school won't be operating or there could be school holidays. So it's not considered a reliable trigger. There's also another bigger problem with that habit, which Professor B.J. Fogg brilliantly called the 20-second rule. I used to plan that I will put my daughter on the school bus and go to the gym. Even if the school bus was on time, I did manage to put the daughter on the school bus. I couldn't go to the gym because I would be in my previous night's dress. I would have to go inside, change into gym clothes, take the gym gear, wear the shoes, and then drive to the gym. Obviously, it takes more than 20 seconds. So you can imagine the 20 seconds to be the amount of time the tiny demon gives you before it kicks in. So the new habit has to be completed within 20 seconds of the existing habit getting done. So these are the 2 important things that we have to remember. Now we are going to actually design the habit into our app. And before we do that, let's design our habit on paper and then we can enter it into the app. Now as I mentioned in the tiny grid session, we have worked with the fitness expert to choose the 6 what we call as heavy duty tiny habits, one of which you should choose. These have the best impact on building your tiny grid. Push-ups, plank, Surya Namaskar or the sun salutation, super brain yoga, which is the squat, burpees, you can see in the diagram. And we have also designed a set of 8 exercises which we call tiny cardio. So you can also pick that up. So you can pick one of these 6. And the app would ask you these 3 questions. What is your reliable trigger? And we have chosen through our research these 4 things: after brushing teeth, after getting off the bed, after hanging towel before bath, or after morning coffee or tea. And then out of the 6 exercises, whatever you have chosen, choose that. In the 3rd category, you choose what will be your starting rep. For example, I started with 2 push-ups, which is 2 reps. And my target for the 120-day period was about 30. So you can choose something similar. But if you chose, say, plank, you would choose the reps in number of seconds. I'd start with a 20-second plank and maybe by the 120-day end, I would have gone to a 1 minute or a 1.5 minute plank. Same with the other exercises. For tiny cardio, you start with one exercise, which takes a minute or two, and then every week or every other week, as you become comfortable, you add exercises. So in total, it's 8 exercises, and it's a 10-minute routine that we have developed working with a fitness expert. So those are the choices you got to make in the app. And then once you make the choices in the app, you register that into what we call as the DTG BH journal and celebrate it onto the WhatsApp group. Now, what are we journaling and why are we celebrating, right? If you remember, every day we are beating the tiny demon. So that is what we are celebrating, which is a very important process in neuroscience for us to make this idea of the fitness exercise super important within our subconscious. So it's an important step to do, and you're also scoring points through our points system. Now the journaling is also a direct window into our subconscious, is what we have discovered. So there is a whole video I have done on why journaling is important, which you may want to watch, which is TMT 59. Now the best laid plans of mouse and men go awry, as they say. There could be real exigencies to come up. For example, I might fall sick or some near and dear needs attention, in which case we may not be able to do the habit. So what we do is we recommend that you do something we call a Pokey or mistake proofing. So whenever a real exigency occurs, just to not lose the slot in the subconscious, you do a 20 count breathe in and breathe out right after your reliable trigger fires. That way your subconscious will know that that slot is preserved. But then interestingly, the tiny demon will come up with a lot of fake exigencies. I think you can imagine yourself what those are, but some examples I can give you. I worked late last night till 2 a.m. so I'm going to get up late, and when I get up late, I don't feel like doing the exercise. So this sort of thing will keep occurring, and that's actually an opportunity for you to build the tiny grit whenever that happens. Because if the tiny demon doesn't come up at all and you don't notice it, then I don't think the tiny grit will build. So this overriding process is very important. Now, how do we know the subconscious is engaged? Simple. The reliable trigger after a few days will actually prompt you. So if it's brushing teeth, you will notice that you get this signal in the subconscious that, hey, do that exercise. Even if you don't notice that, you will surely notice the tiny demon trying to derail you with its various excuses that are highly personalized to you and who you are. Now, I don't have to tell you the transformation is a team sport. That is why in High Poha we do everything as a team. So it's very important for you to not let down your team. Do your BTG and journal it. And if all of you did it, your team gets a full house and that gets double points. The other game we are playing is what we call as the T20 with the tiny demon. Don't let the tiny demon score a hat trick, which means if you missed 3 days in a row, the tiny demon scores a hat trick. And if you do 6 BTGs in a row, you score a sixer. Imagine Dhoni scoring his final 6 to win the World Cup in 2011, or imagine the winning shot of your favorite sports person. Now the 120-day period is split into 20 overs of 6 balls each ball representing a day. So even if you miss 1 over, you can catch up in the next over. So it goes in 6-day cycles. Again, cyclical is a important language of the subconscious, as we have discovered. With that, I thank you all and wish you the very best in building your tiny grit.